it's plant-based chat week. Yay! I kind of skipped last week and we just didn't talk about it. Because I'm like that. We did do the exciting outdoor special with Julie Hassan. So if you want a good laugh, you should definitely go back and watch that. Today, I am here with Amy Katz of Veggies Save the Day, and she's awesome. You guys are going to love her. You probably already know some of her work as well. So it's still hot here in North Carolina, and so I'm tired of it. And Amy lives in California where it's always warmer, but I think you get more kind of melded out, right? It's not like, are you in the desert part or the not desert part? I guess is what I'm
No,
asking.
I'm about 8 miles from the ocean.
Okay.
So it's usually pretty mild, but we actually started getting high temperatures this week. We tend to get our hottest weather in August and September. So it's been nice up until like this week. So now we got the air conditioner on.
Oh, you didn't have the did you have a swamp cooler on or something? Or do you,
No, we don't even have those. Like they don't even put those in the newer houses. So yeah, it's just been open windows, but now we got the AC going.
oh, I am super jealous because and I always fight to not put the air conditioning on, but we've had it on for months. And
Yeah.
what's funny is I live in like a split level. So Cheryl's office is downstairs and it's like in the side of a hill. So it's like if it's the air or the heat's on, it's just like whatever down there. It's
Oh,
crazy. So
yeah.
she's wearing sweatshirts and fuzzy shoes so that I can be upstairs where all the windows and clear story windows are and not pass out. So the house isn't quite big enough to have 2 units, but if we
Yeah.
ever redo things, I think that that's going to change. And I want to say hi to Christina, Lydia, Apple, and Julie. It's awesome to see all of you guys here. Um, oh, and Dreamy Sunshine is here too. Yay! It's, but yeah, I have not been going outside. But what I did do, and those of you who are on my mailing list found out this exciting tidbit, is I got a bike that's a
Oh,
desk. And I
yeah.
was very suspicious of those. Like, I was like, that seems like something that you pay $300 for that's just going to fall right apart. And it's super
Right.
sturdy, and it's got this big work desk, and I just sit there
Ooh,
and do my little pedaling, and I think it's a little easier to work. We also got a desk for the treadmill. This tells you how it's been too hot for too long. Because like, I was taking the dog for a walk, and he's like, "It's hot. I have to go back." And I'm like, "We've walked half a mile,
yeah, yeah.
and
Well,
it
you
just
got that humidity there too, so
oh."
that's makes it tougher.
And it's definitely been super, super humid. And I
Yeah.
haven't been going out into the garden as much. And Amy, I know you've been doing gardening too. One of the
Yeah.
tomatoes I finally like
Wow.
isn't that look creepy though? It's actually a
Oh,
Hungarian
wow.
heart.
Oh, I love it.
And
I
it
love it. You
really
can make
looks like a
a whole pot
heart.
of sauce. Yeah, you can make a whole pot of sauce with that tomato.
Someone was saying, "Oh, it's your typical picture where you're hugging things to your face," but that's because I do that all the time in real life.
Oh, yeah, I love it. I
Um,
love it.
but I may have to do something Halloweeny with it because it looks like
Ooh.
a heart.
Yeah,
So
that'll be fun. That'll be fun.
I know I'm
Yeah.
ready for Halloween and
Yeah.
fall. And
Yeah, I hear you. I hear you. I used to be like completely summer person. Like I couldn't wait for summer all year round. But now I feel like I've become more of a spring and a fall person. So yeah, I'm looking forward to like fall, like clothes, like the comfy sweaters and socks and all of that.
oh, there,
But yeah.
I got this thing that's called no, what is it called? It's oh, I can't believe I just forgot what it is. But it's giant. Like when I put it on, it looks like they would have to like airlift me out of the house because it's like a 6X or something, and it's with fleece and it's like fuzzy on the outside and it's
Oh,
Harry Potter.
wow.
It's all Ravenclaw.
Oh,
And
perfect for
oh,
you.
it was awesome. And it has a hood, so you can like hide from the whole world. Um, can you
Well,
tell
I'm definitely in a fall mood because even though it's still summer, I decided to make an instant pot chowder today. So it's a potato corn chowder. So I'm just chopping up some vegetables, and you know what? The nice thing, I know you can attest to this with the instant pot, is you can still make whatever dishes you want all year round, and it won't heat up your kitchen. So it's just an awesome appliance. And I know all of your fans have them, and you make amazing Instant Pot recipes. So if there's, some odd chance that someone watching doesn't have an Instant Pot, you got to get one.
Right, and you can make it on the stove. And also,
Yeah.
here's two tips that I've been giving a lot lately. One is I've been seeing electric pressure cookers in thrift stores, not Instant Pots per se, but like the Power whatever. And so sometimes you can get something like that. The other
Yeah.
super secret tip is if you're on your computer, it doesn't always show up on your phone, but go to Amazon.com, and at the top where there's the search, there's a little drop down. Pick Amazon Warehouse and look up
Oh,
Instant Pot. It's returns, and see, it's still close enough to Prime Day that people like got all excited and addictive spending, and they bought all the stuff. I will say
right.
I returned two things, and I can tell you why, but it was not addictive spending. But one was we got a desk to fit on our other recumbent bike, and I'm 5'1.5", and when I would do the pedals, my knees would bounce it, so my computer would bounce. I'm like, no, this is going back. The other thing is I was trying to get a new food processor for the Cuisinart to replace my Cuisinart that has all that stupid stuff in the top lid where everything gets stuck. Like, have you
Whoa.
seen those?
Yeah,
Like,
I think I know what you're talking about.
yeah, and
Yeah.
it's like they decided you should be able to do liquids and have no liquid spill, and I'm like, I'll take that
Oh,
risk.
yeah.
And it
Yeah.
was probably 10 years old, and so I got the Cuisinart one and I lifted it, and it felt like a toy. So I was a little concerned
Oh,
about that. I got it on Amazon Warehouse for $60, so I wasn't going to complain.
wow.
But the last night of Prime, what happened is the Breville 16 whatever sous chef one, the one that's like $500, was on
Yeah.
Warehouse for with the 25% off. It ended up being $225, and
Whoa.
it's over here, and I've used it, and it's awesome. It's so awesome.
Wow.
Um,
That's great. I love the Breville appliances. I actually only have one, but I finally got the smart oven, and I am in love. It was my present to myself this last holiday season, and we use it multiple times a day. It was so worth it.
well, and with gardening too, you got. I use the dehydrator in there, so I got the extra rack. So she's talking about it's. If you have a tiny kitchen, I'm trying another toaster oven thing back here, which you guys can't. I don't think even if I put it down, yeah, you can't see it. I'm trying the Ninja because somebody had some questions, but it's big, but it's awesome, and it
Oh
also
yeah,
doesn't heat up the house the same way as your oven would. So, like for
right.
summer appliances, your Instant Pot, slow cooker. If you have an air fryer or a toaster oven, those are all real lifesavers because honestly, is there anyone out there that only drinks like cold drinks, smoothie
Mhm.
bowls, and salads, and maybe chilled soups all winter long? I mean, all summer long.
Yeah, all summer long.
Nobody does, right? We eat warm food all year round, just like we eat
Yeah,
salads in the winter.
right.
And Ronnie's telling me, I told you the Breville is awesome. People have been so telling me about this Breville forever as I
Wow.
complain about my other one. Oh,
Yeah.
Joshua Johnny is on here, my little brother. I don't know if you guys know him or not. He's like an ultra marathon runner. He's,
Oh
oh yeah, you would know because you run as well.
yeah,
And
Yeah.
so,
Well, I don't run ultras, but I have run a lot of marathons. Um, yeah. So, but not yeah, not ultras.
I think it's okay to not do that. And
Yeah.
yes, many kisses and big squeezy hugs to you, my friend Josh. Um, he was in town a couple months ago, and I actually did lend them the Breville. The only thing that's a little bit hard about the Breville is if you have anything that drips, it drips on those covered heating elements down below.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
and Amy, and tell me if this is not a good time. I'm not always great at talking and cutting at the same time, but do you want to go ahead and tell us a little bit about you? Oh, and I met Amy just online, just with vegan bloggers meeting each other. And we talked and did some stuff there and became friendly. And then we met at a conference in Philadelphia. And I remember because we also, what was it? Somebody isn't a sinner or somebody's a sinner. What is, where we had cocktails, the vegan cocktail place?
Oh yeah, Charlie is a sin. Charlie is
Charlie's
a
a
sinner.
sinner.
Charlie
That,
was a sinner. Charlie
ah,
was a
okay.
Yeah, Philadelphia was great. Yeah, we had known each other for several years online. And then I found out that you were going to this same, it was a very small conference.
Yeah.
I would say it was maybe like 25 of us, so it was a
Yeah.
great size. And yeah, so we met and we hung out, we got to finally hang out in person. And we also got to meet let's see, we met, there's a blog, Make It Dairy Free.
Mm-hmm.
So we met them there too, and they had just launched that blog.
I know, isn't it
So it was
crazy? And they
amazing.
are just everywhere. They're doing
Yeah,
so well. I'm so excited
yeah,
for them.
I know. So yeah, it's always great when people that know each other online can meet in person and become friends in real life. So that was so much fun. And in fact, that time. So that was 2018. I believe it was September.
Mm-hmm.
And a few weeks before, we had just adopted my cat Ozzy, who some of you saw in the preview photo, and he is actually here. I see him down there, but he's
Oh,
being shy. He doesn't like to go on camera. He's like paparazzi. Stay away, stay away. I need my privacy.
my
But
dog Max
he,
is like that. We're always like
yeah,
trying to lure him into the camera. He's like, yeah, no.
yeah, no, no. But he actually really enjoys watching me cook. So sometimes he'll like sit on one of the little stools in the kitchen and he'll watch me as I'm cooking everything. And sometimes I'll give him like an ingredient so he can smell it, so he can get an idea what it is. So I always joke that if they had culinary school for cats that he would enroll.
Oh, I love that. I love that. And Mona was saying she thought this was at 3 and she's in the car on her way home. Mona, do not worry. There will be a replay. You can watch this as many times as you want.
Yeah, yeah. So anyway, so you were asking, or we were talking about my background. So I have the blog Veggies Save the Day, and it's all vegan, and it is gluten free. I don't advertise it as I'm not really a gluten free blogger, but I happen to be gluten free in life. So all of the recipes are also gluten free or are easy to make gluten free with like gluten free pasta and that kind of thing. But anyway, so my focus, my recipes, I'm very inspired by a Mediterranean diet, but plant based, of course. And so all of the recipes, if you're interested in a Mediterranean diet, they follow those guidelines as well as being vegan and plant based. And a lot of the recipes can be made oil free. Because I know that a lot of Kathy's fans are oil free. And this recipe that we're making today actually is naturally oil free. So we didn't have to make any changes to it. It already is oil free as is. And that's a great thing too about the Instant Pot is you really don't need to use oil. You can make all the recipes pretty much that I can think of, you can make them oil free. So that's always good.
I agree. And the only tips I would add in is that if you want to saute your onions or garlic or something first, you can, even oil free. You can put a little bit of broth or water. If you're paying good attention, so if I'm all by myself, just making food for us, I will often not put any oil in and just cook it very low and slow.
Mhm.
But when I'm doing a live or I'm doing a cooking class where I'm cooking like 4 things at the same time, I put water in there because I will burn it. So,
Yeah.
and
Yeah, so we're actually going to do that in a couple minutes. We're going to saute some vegetables just with a little bit of water.
oh, awesome. And
Yeah.
some other people have been doing it lately. Like, let's say this was corn and bean chowder. Some people are using the aquafaba to saute. They actually,
Oh, yeah.
which is kind of exciting too. And my like super fast canned red beans, I just dump in the kidney beans and the aquafaba and all, and it works so well.
Yeah, you know what? I like doing that when I make black bean chili is I leave the liquid from the black beans and use that in the chili. And, add some of the liquid and then I find, I don't really need to add salt because of the liquid. So it's kind of just a shortcut that way too.
And if you're making your own beans from scratch and freezing them, which I also recommend just because it's cheaper and you can control
Yeah.
everything that goes in them. So a lot of times I'll cook a whole pound of beans and freeze them, but you could also freeze the aquafaba and in ice cube trays and pop them out, and then you just have these little ice
Ooh.
cubes that you can just pop in anywhere you want. And I see you're cooking, so I'm going to switch you back to full screen so we're just seeing you.
Yeah, so I'm gonna just pop it on saute here, and we're gonna saute up the onions, garlic, and carrots and celery.
Great.
So I'm
Which
gonna let
model of
my,
Instant Pot do you have?
this is the Ultra.
Okay.
Do they still make this one? I don't even
No,
know.
well, you know what? I have a Duo Evo Plus, which was not even a whole season at Williams Sonoma before it became the
Oh,
Pro. So it actually was the precursor to the Pro. They keep coming out with so many.
yeah, you know what? Actually, I have a really funny story about that. So, I started using an Instant Pot well before I had a blog. And Veggies Save the Day actually is turning 8 years old this week. So,
Ooh, happy
yeah, so
birthday.
let's see. Let me do the math on that. Is it eight or sorry, 7 years old? I misspoke. 7 years old. Anyway, whatever. A long, long time ago, back when I was really starting to get into cooking more at home, I wanted to start cooking beans from scratch, like you were just talking about. And I knew that one of my friends had an electric pressure cooker. I don't remember what the brand was, but I remember looking on Amazon and I saw this thing called Instant Pot, and it was from Canada. And I asked my friend and everyone else I could think of, have you heard of this Instant Pot? And nobody had heard of it. And, I had just randomly come across it. So back then, I bought it from Amazon, and I want to say it was like 50 or $60. And they had one model, that was it.
Mm-hmm.
And so I just, I'm like, well, I'm going to give it a go. It's not that much money. So, we'll see what happens. So I ended up, of course, loving it and, using it like swapping it out for my rice cooker and, slow cooker, everything. Like, so I just had the one appliance. And then, little did I know, Instant Pot became a huge thing a few years later. But that original model that I had, it lasted so long. Like I only replaced it a couple years ago with this Ultra. And so it was like really basic. It had different functions, but it didn't have as many functions as they do now. Like, it definitely didn't have yogurt or anything like that.
Right.
But it just had the basics of what you needed. And it pretty much, I just used it like it was like pretty much I just touched one button. I don't think it had like rice or, different settings like soup or anything like that. I just used like it was kind of like high or low, and
Yep.
and then maybe a couple other things, but that was pretty much it. But yeah, it like stood the test of time, and and then who knew it became this worldwide sensation.
I know it's very interesting, and I always tell people too. Like even though now they have a lot of buttons, you can make beans without the bean button. You can make cake without the cake button. It's
Right.
just like preset pressure cooker settings. And the only
Yeah.
now the model you're talking about would be called the Lux. And like if you see the cool Pioneer
Oh.
Woman Instant Pot at Walmart that's all pretty, that's a Lux. And so that means it doesn't have a
Oh.
yogurt setting. The Pro's kind of cool because it has a whole different setup. It has a pot with cool handles that like
Oh, wow.
cool to the touch handles, because it sounds like I'm like groovy handles, but I
Oh,
mean I
that's
really
what
do
I
mean
thought.
cool. And it does like sous vide and some other stuff, and what I like a lot is their pressure release. There's a second cover over it so it doesn't spew out, and you can really just open it up and let it go more than
Oh,
any of
that's
the others.
amazing.
Now,
Yeah.
Drew has a question for you. I have a bunch of
Yeah.
frozen diced russet potatoes from when I had a plethora of russet potatoes, as one does. Will it turn out okay if I use those, or do I need the gold ones?
You know what? I'm gonna have to say I recommend the gold potatoes for this. The russets, you can use it, but it's gonna be a little more mealy, and it's not as creamy as the gold potatoes. So I'd probably save those russets for something else, I would say.
Okay. And Ronnie saying, talking about the Pro, is that um, it also heats and cools down faster in her estimation. It's
Oh,
kind of
that's
nice, but
interesting.
again, any of these models you can go to Amazon Warehouse, and often, and I mean by often right now, it's like I haven't looked one up where I haven't found one for 55 or $60. So you don't have to wait for
Yeah.
Black Friday. You don't have to wait for a Prime Day if that's something that is on your I want it, but not when it's $130 list.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah, that's a great idea. So right now I'm just sauteing the onions. You could see I put in a little bit of water. So basically, if it starts to seem a little dry, then I'll just put in a little bit more water. So I don't measure it or anything. I just like pour a little bit in. So I don't know if you can see the steam coming up, but
Yeah, you can see a
yeah.
little bit of that. And one of the things that's kind of cool, like oil versus water. Oil, if you were using it, you have to let it heat up enough before you put the onions in. But if you're using water, you can just kind of start off immediately.
Oh, that's a great point. I didn't even think about that. Yeah. So the onions are starting to look soft now, so I'm going to put in a couple cloves of minced garlic. And you know what? Since this is a chowder, I don't worry about cutting everything perfectly. I consider it rustic. So I just chop things up as they are. And the carrots and the celery, those were a little bit funny shaped. Um, you can hear the
Don't
landline
worry
in the
about
background.
it's a
Sorry about
live
that.
show.
Real life, yeah.
Yeah.
So
Let's just hope no one says
anyway,
anything incriminating on your
yeah.
answering machine.
Well, the funny thing is the landline, because so my dad lives with us, and so he's 80 years old, and so he needs to have his landline. So all the calls that come in on the landline are for him, but they're usually people asking for donations or selling something, but you know what I mean? But he doesn't want to give up the landline, so that's okay.
Well, now they go
So
to cell phones. Like we had a landline when we moved in here 10 years ago, just kind of, we were still thinking in terms of safety, right? If we needed the fire department or something,
yeah,
because that used to be a decade ago the way of thinking. And we got rid of it because every single call was spam or sales or something.
yes,
And
exactly.
now it's on our cell phones. It kills me that, like, so
Oh, I know.
everybody who knows me knows you have to email me to tell me you're going to call me because I keep my phone off all the time.
Yeah, I like that. I like that. I know. Yeah. I like to schedule my phone calls.
Yes.
All right, so we have that going, and then I'm just gonna chop up these potatoes. So these are all different shapes. I leave the skin on, but there were some that were starting to sprout a little bit because with organic potatoes, they tend to go a little bit quicker. So I just like peeled that off. But again, I'm just gonna chop these. Doesn't have to be perfect. Just kind of dice them into cubes. So I'll show you what that looks like. Um,
You're speaking my language because anything that happens that's weird, I'm like, that's
yeah,
rustic.
yeah. So this is fine. So we're just gonna chop these up really quick, and then this is actually pretty much done sautéing. So I'm gonna cancel that, and I'm gonna finish off the potatoes, and then we're just gonna throw the potatoes in with broth and some seasoning, and then we're gonna cook it, and it only needs 4 minutes, which is great.
Oh, that's
And
nice and fast.
yeah, it's really fast. Of course, it will take some time to come up to pressure, but then we'll just cook it for 4 minutes on high, and then quick release the pressure. So you don't have to wait for the pressure to come down. In fact, we don't want to wait for it to come down because the potatoes cook very quickly. So we'll just quick release that, and then we're going to add in our corn and the special ingredient, which is coconut cream. I blended some raw cashews
Mm-hmm.
with water in my blender, and that's what's going to make this chowder super creamy, just like you remember chowders used to be.
Oh, yum. And I love chowders, and so does Apple. Apple says she loves chowder and is eager to see what spices you end up using. And she
Oh,
likes a little bit of nutmeg in hers, which sounds
oh,
delicious. And
yeah,
we
that
had
sounds
some
good.
landline discussion going on. So Dreamy Sunshine said she has a landline as well, and those calls are so annoying. And Apple says I
Yeah,
only have a landline, no thanks to a mobile phone. And I was like that forever. Well, forever in my time because I was a web developer. So, you get like kind of, you pick up tack a little faster. And I really waited and waited. And I used to, on purpose, when I first had my mobile phone, which probably was almost 20 years ago now,
yeah,
um, is I would go take a walk or go spend the day, and I would just leave it at home so no one could contact me when I still had an answering machine. And it was kind of glorious. But now I do work on my phone sometimes, though I'm still an old person in that I would rather work on my computer where I can. Also, I find that when I'm working on my phone, some apps are just mobile apps, so I can't do certain things. Like on Gmail, I can't put
yeah,
exclamation points that are to or the little symbols to work my system.
right. Yeah, I'm with you. I prefer working on my computer as well.
I think I call him my grandson. Actually, I love him, Caleb Dempsey from Ecamm, and we did a little talk in class at a conference not that long ago. But I always when I have something from he's Gen Z, And so he knows all the things I don't know. And it's kind of awesome. So I'm like, Meemaw needs a little help, Caleb. And I keep saying, when are you going to get Meemaw tattooed on you? Because he's from the South too.
Yeah, it's great having friends that are all different ages. Well, you and I are approximately the same age, but I often rely on my 20 something friends to help me out with the latest technology. That's for sure.
Right. Well, and I think everyone sees that, because technology moves so fast. It can be really
Yeah.
interesting. Like, I know some people get intimidated by Instant Pots, and things like
Yes.
I'm intimidated still by stovetop pressure cookers because I've never used one. I just remember my mom's blowing up when I was little.
Yeah, and I hear stories about that, like grandmas exploding. Or remember in the movie Breakfast at Tiffany's, like she ended up with rice all over the
Oh,
ceiling.
yeah. And that's something, if you don't have an Instant Pot or you're not used to using one, there's so many safety features in it that I've not had any issues, and I've done some really stupid things because I've had a lot of the models, and I always say I make the mistakes so you don't have to. So every once in a while I'll do something that I'm like, yeah, if you asked me, I would be like, no, do not do that. And and even then I managed to not hurt myself. So yay.
Yeah,
And
that's
Mona's
good.
at
No,
home
I love
watching
it.
us now, and she's not in the car anymore. We're so glad you made it home, Mona.
Oh, good.
I know. I have a little London fog that I'm sipping on over here. So a little Earl
Oh, that
Grey tea
sounds
and
really
vanilla
good.
creamer.
Ooh, that sounds nice.
Oh, Josh
Actually,
says, Josh
oh, go
says,
ahead.
my mama blew up a pressure cooker when I was little. It was wild. Gravy was dripping off the ceiling. Laugh out loud. I think we've all seen it, and that's what
Yeah.
people get a little, who don't already have this, are a little nervous. But like, the cool thing is,
Hmm.
like, you can't open this unless the pressure's down, and you'll get to see that. Amy will show you.
Yeah, yeah, it will be a little loud, but we'll get to see it in action. So I just put the potatoes in, and then I'm going to put in 4 cups of vegetable broth. So you can also just cook this in water, especially if you're on a low sodium diet, and then just add extra seasoning in. Or you can just use 4 cups of water and use some of the better than bouillon. That's always a great choice too. Or I know Kathy makes her own bouillon, so you should check out her recipe, and you can use that for this soup recipe as
Yeah,
well. Or
it's
if you make
cheaper.
homemade broth in your instant pot,
You
that's
can.
such a great idea.
It's true.
You can
I
just
make.
save your kitchen scraps in the freezer, and then when you're ready, you can just make a batch of broth, and then just you can put it in individual containers and store it in your freezer for later. That's always a great low waste thing to do. So we just put that broth in, and then we're gonna put in bay leaf. These are really small, so I'm going to put in 2.
Living on the edge.
Yeah,
That's what us
that's a great
ladies
thing to do.
do.
Yeah, I mean, you can like customize these. Like someone said about using nutmeg. That's a nice idea. Like I'm using just some dried thyme.
Ooh.
If you do have fresh thyme from maybe from your garden, you can just put it in with the stalks. And as the soup or the chowder cooks, the little leaves will fall off the stems, and then you can just pull out the stems with the bay leaf at the end. So that's an option. But I really love dried thyme. I find whenever I make a soup, whether it's like lentil soup or vegetable soup, thyme is like that flavor that reminds me of soup. It's just got that great smell. But if you don't have thyme, you can just use like any blend you want, like Italian seasoning is nice, or maybe a herb de Provence is nice. So I didn't measure it, but that's about a teaspoon. So I don't know, Kathy, if you're like that too
Yeah,
when you cook at home.
totally. Well, I know in my palm, like what's funny is I can't tell you what like 4 inches is or a foot.
Yeah,
Like I don't understand that, but I can, especially when I've been working on a book and I've cut up stuff, I can go, that's 2 cups of potatoes. And I'm always right. It's kind of very strange. Um,
exactly.
and Apple was saying
So
she always has my slow cooker bouillon. So that's the same
yeah.
bouillon. And so I have on plantbasedinstantpot.com, I have an instant pot recipe, and on healthyslowcooking.com, I have a slow cooker and a Dutch oven one. So you can get that
Ooh,
either way. And I
oh,
just
that's
freeze it in ice
great.
cube trays and drop it in.
Yes, I love that. I love that idea. So we just put it on 4 minutes, high pressure, and hit the start, and that's it. So I'm not sure how long it will take to come up to pressure because I never really think about that. But we can kind of do an experiment so we can see how long it takes to come up. So we'll see,
Okay.
and you can watch the screen yourself and see.
Okay. I'll
But
switch us
hey,
back to both. So you,
okay, great. Yeah, so with the ice cube trays, so I have really been taking advantage of that idea lately. We have a Meyer lemon tree in our backyard and a lime tree in kind of our side yard. And so we ended up with just way more citrus than we could possibly use. And with the lime tree, they actually started falling off the tree because they were ripe and ready to go. So what we ended up doing is we took a bunch of the trays. Well, we actually had to do it in batches because we ended up with so much juice. So we just juiced them, yeah, and put them in the trays. And then it's great because once it's frozen, you can just pop them out and put them in either a resealable bag or a container with a lid, or and then whenever you need it, you just, if you want to have it as liquid again, you can just defrost it in your refrigerator overnight. Or if you are cooking something like a soup or stew or whatever that needs some citrus, you can just drop it in frozen. So convenient.
I love that. And so, like, even I chop a lot of onions all at once. And a lot of you
Ooh.
guys have been in my chop and chat. So I'll come on live and go, and actually, that could happen soon because I have a big pile of onions. And I'm like, okay, I'll talk to you guys. But I chop the onions and I put it in a resealable bag. And there's a video somewhere where I was talking about the different resealable bags that I've been using. So I love Zip Top and I love Stasher.
Mm.
But there are some
I
less.
have both of
Do
those.
you?
Yeah,
Okay.
I do. They're great.
They're really, really good. And I think they're going to last. I've been putting them in the dishwasher. They seem very, very
Mhm.
sturdy. There are some less sturdy ones at Target that are also cheaper. So I don't think they're going to be like lifetime, but like something like if we open up, I don't know, a bag of something, or I have some leftover pasta, something that you're kind of just doing it to keep it fresh. I've been
Mhm.
using those because then I just rinse those out. But I am trying to dishwash them just to see when they're going to break so I can tell you.
Right, right. Yeah, I know let's see, I think well, I can't remember which one, but they're designed, there's probably both of them, that they're designed that when you put them in the dishwasher, they can go through the dry cycle as well.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you take them out, they don't have like a bunch of excess water trapped in them, which is great. Because that's the thing about using like the Ziploc bags, that we've all had for a million years. You can like technically reuse them, but they are really hard to wash and dry.
They
It's not as
are.
convenient. It's not as convenient. And then, eventually they are going to end up in the landfill. But yeah, these reusable bags, it's so amazing. All of the inventive things that are on the market now that are so much better for the environment. I just love it.
Me too. And because I do things like that, like I do that with bouillon, I do that with lemon juice, sometimes even like, did you zest the limes too? And because you can
Oh
freeze the,
yeah.
yeah.
Oh great.
And there's
Yeah.
a conversation going on that's got to play it with saying, have you tried storing whole lemons in a jar of water in the fridge? And
Oh.
let's see, Dreamy Sunshine has done it. And then Diane's asking, so keeping lemons in a jar of water keeps them lasting longer. And I don't know, but I have the preserved lemons that get preserved in
Mhm.
salt. Have you heard
Yes.
anything about this?
No, I did not know that you could do that in water, but that's really intriguing. I'm gonna have to look into that.
Yeah, because if it works with lemons, you'd think it works with limes too.
Yeah, yeah, I would think so.
Ah, okay. And Ronnie has a cute story. I made soup the other day with 2 big bay leaves. I forgot about them and used my immersion blender to make a creamy soup. I was surprised that I'm still alive. So I
Might be a little strong.
am not
Yeah.
surprised. And here's the thing, I actually bought years ago ground bay leaf powder because in some of the Cajun
Yes.
spice blends, it will have bay leaf and it's powdered. So the thing that's dangerous about bay leaves is, and the reason you want to take it out is because the leaf being whole can cut you.
Oh yeah, yeah. Like I don't know if you've ever been to a restaurant where you ordered something like maybe like chili or soup, and then you end up with something like in your mouth. You're like, "What is this?" And it's a bay leaf they forgot to take out.
Right,
Yeah.
right. And
Yeah.
so that's the thing. You can actually ingest bay leaf. Just it has to
Hmm.
be ground up. And so if you wanted to, which I do, is sometimes I will go ahead and dehydrate some bay leaves a little bit more and put them through a spice grinder, make sure any stem or anything's gone, and then because I put that in
Oh.
my one of my Cajun spice blends.
Oh, nice. I like that.
Ah, and okay, and so this is cool. Sandy's saying you can freeze lemons, limes, oranges whole, and when they defrost, they have
Oh,
even more juice than when fresh.
wow. Oh, that is a great tip.
And you know,
I
I was
love
just at the Hispanic market and I saw some whole fruit that was in a clear bag that was in the freezer section.
Oh, wow. Interesting. Yeah, so we actually this year we got little trees. That one of them's a navel orange, and one of them is a kumquat. And the
Oh,
kumquat is actually you can see the little tiny baby fruit on it. So I'm so excited. I don't know about you, but I really love kumquats. They're
there.
just so fun. You just pop it in your mouth and you eat the skin and all. It's just such a treat.
I totally agree. So in North Carolina, obviously we can't plant citrus out in the ground, but I did get some citrus trees because I just moved them in for the winter. And so they
Oh
stay
yeah,
smaller because they're in a smaller container. So
right.
I got a couple of Meyer lemons. I got a pink lemon. It's a pink striped lemon
Ooh,
because I had
oh,
seen it in the store and it's so pretty and it's doing
it
well.
is. Yeah, they usually have them like once a year at Trader Joe's and also at Sprouts. I think Melissa's Produce or
Yes.
Frida's or one of those specialty produce companies. They do like a little bag of the pink lemons, and yeah, they are so pretty.
And one thing that I've done is that I actually dehydrated citrus slices. And so I
Oh,
sliced it and then I made a little I'm trying to think, like a little place where a cut where I could put it on a glass. So we've been using that as like fancy
oh,
decoration for our not going out very
yeah.
much. And in the dehydrator class, I made lemon powder, lime powder, and orange powder. And so I
Oh, yum.
just took the slices and made sure they were super crunchy. And with the lemon, it's actually bitter lemon. Like, you know, there's a bitter, like, I think it's Fitman's or Finnemans or something. There's a bitter lemon soda because it had the pith.
Oh,
So we're going to use it in cocktails and mocktails.
oh,
Okay.
that sounds good.
Dreamy Sunshine freezes sofrito. Apple freezes lots of things in ice cube trays. Yeah, I'm team ice cube tray. And then transfers them to freezer
Yeah.
safe containers. And Ronnie
Yeah,
says, huh?
fresh herbs are great to freeze in an ice cube tray as well.
It is. I had gotten a good find at the thrift store, which was like those ball jar, but it's freezer cubes, and
Oh.
I froze a bunch of basil in there, and I've been scrubbing it out, so I'm actually sending them back to the thrift store. It worked really well for the lemon and stuff, but it just like, I don't know how it got stuck on so much. It doesn't happen in my regular
Oh.
ice cube trays. And Ronnie is saying, who has room for anything other than creamy pints in their freezer? And I take some personal responsibility for that.
Yeah, I think that's your fault, Kathy.
It is, because I have everybody making and here the machine is here, so it's not that big actually. Woo!
Oh, yeah.
And it's not that heavy. I'm just dragging it.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, and then
Yeah.
it has little pints that come in here, and then it actually just shaves it and makes it super creamy, which is awesome. So for
Yeah.
sorbets and things like that. And Diane says, where can I find out about Kathy's creamy class? You can go to kathyhester.podia.com, Podia.com, or wherever you're watching this, somewhere there are words, and I'm pretty sure the link is there too. If you can't find it, just email me at kathyhester@gmail.com, and I will send you a link. So. I knew the creamy was going to come up. One time I was doing an unboxing, Eric was like, spin the creamy pint, spin the creamy pint. And I'm like, your wish is my command.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, it's a good day. Dole Whip. I think
oh,
Dole Whip would be awesome.
and that was the first thing I did. So like in the class, I have a whole beginner section, so we unbox it so everybody knows what they have, and then we make our 2 pints together, and we make a real easy one. We make like a banana ice cream, because it's so much easier to clean up than like a Yonana or my old food processor. I was just like, and also with my food processor, I was having to make like enough for 5 people at one time. Right. You can't just do one banana.
Yeah, exactly.
And the Dole Whip is so simple. You just take crushed pineapple in juice. You can use fresh, and when you cut it up, there'll be juice. So if you have a cutting board, does this one have an edge? No, with like that little edge around it.
Yeah.
It'll save the juice, and then I pour it in. And then you can put a little bit of vanilla in if you want, and you can put a little bit of non-dairy milk of your choice, and then that's it. You put the lids on, and like with the banana, I just mash it up with a little bit of non-dairy milk and some vanilla, put it in, and then you freeze it for 24 hours and you spin it, and it's really nice ice cream.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's so funny with Dole Whip because, it's a classic at Disneyland and Disney World, and people don't even realize that they're eating something that's vegan.
Right. And well, the thing is you can buy Dole Whip mix. And so
Oh, yeah.
this is just me. So will I eat it at Disney again? Probably, because it's vegan and it's very exciting. But then I looked at the ingredients, which I had never done. I was like, what? There's like artificial flavors. There's a whole bunch of stuff. And again, not trying to ruin it while you're at the parks, but
Right.
I would rather spend about the same amount of money to get a case of canned pineapple than to get one of those big bags of Dole Whip mix, because people are just mixing it with. Yeah. And because it said Dole, I don't know, I just thought it would be more pure and fruity.
Right, you would think so, that it would just be, the 100% pineapple and then the non-dairy milk. You would think, but
Right, and if you weren't, I'm in a lot of the Ninja Creamy groups, so I'm in ones that are not vegan as well, and like a lot of people do their protein shakes, and a lot of people are doing keto stuff. So there's some very interesting things going on, but that's super popular in, some parts of the creamy sphere.
That is funny. I didn't realize that because, when you're talking about with Yonana, right? That's the name of it. Yeah, so I have one of those that I never use, of course. It's just sitting in the cupboard. But back when I got it, I had originally found out about it from a vegan restaurant in Laguna Beach, California.
Ooh.
That's what they used. They had a bunch of them, and you could pick whatever flavor you wanted, and they had like a dedicated machine for each flavor. It's a place called The Stand in Laguna Beach. So that's how I found out about it, and I was like, "Oh, I want to get one of those." But I always assumed that that was just a thing that vegans bought. A Yonana. So I
Ah.
said the same thing about the Ninja Creamy. I didn't realize that people who are following different diets would be interested in
Oh
that.
yeah, because you can make it has like you can make full fat, full sugar ice cream. So there are some people out there that are being kind of like ice cream gurus, really trying to lower their ice crystal size with the amount of fat and the amount of sugar. And as I was experimenting with it, because like you can't do a solid block of ice. That's too hard for it. It's not an
Oh,
ice
I
shaver,
see.
it's not a blender, but fiber also keeps things from freezing as hard. So like whole dates blended
Oh,
into non-dairy milk, and even oat milk and other milks have some natural fat and fiber that are going to slow down that freezing process so it's not a solid, hard
oh,
Arctic block of ice.
that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, and so like the light ice cream button, I believe was developed more for the keto people who are using like Splenda or allulose. I've never heard it said, or whatever those weird sweeteners are. But I use it a lot because what happens is the blade comes down and it spins fast and the rod comes down slow because it's a
Oh,
harder frozen mass than if it had coconut milk and coconut cream and vegan cream cheese and
right.
real sugar. And so that one doesn't go around as fast, but it lowers faster.
Oh, I see. Okay, that makes
Yeah,
sense.
but the best thing is like you can put a can of pears. Like so you don't have to only use canned fruit, but like if you just Chef AJ likes to not be bothered. You can put applesauce in there and be done. So I have one that's
Oh,
a caramel apple with dates, applesauce. I think I did allspice, cinnamon, and a little bit of non-dairy milk, and it's crazy good.
wow. Yeah, I didn't know that you could use like canned fruits and applesauce. So that's convenient.
So far, everyone who's been on this show since I've gotten the creamy, who said they didn't want a creamy, got one. So we'll see if you're my holdout or not. I'm
Oh
not trying to
no.
make anybody, but I am excited about it. And the thing is, I do have two machines now because I was doing a book and I'm experimenting. So another series that could be coming up is Will It Creamy? And we'll keep doing that till one of my machines breaks. How
Oh,
about
that's
that?
fun. I like that idea. You should definitely do it.
Yeah, and
Yeah, so, part of my hesitation is because, like I said, I have the Yunana that's sitting in the back of the cupboard. And then in the garage, somewhere in the garage, there's a Cuisinart ice cream machine.
the one that goes in the freezer. See, I have that one
Exactly.
and I have the one with the compressor. I bought that one in 2020. I've used it 3 times. I was not going to get the creamy either. So
Yeah,
and
yeah.
so one of my viewers was like, I just got one, will you help me? And I was like, well, I was kind of thinking about it, and then I started playing with it and I'm like, oh my god, this is delicious. So and what I like about it, so okay, here's what I don't like about the Yonana. And if you guys love your Yonana, you should keep it. I'm not trying to tell you not to do it, but because I even upgraded to the elite because I found it at a thrift store. So I have the fancy crazy one, but when you open that thing up and everything, you have like a quarter cup of it just stuck in there. It never cleans out well for me. I find it,
Mhm.
and then when I put it away for the summer, no matter, I put it in the dishwasher, I scrubbed it, and there's always something growing on it, and it freaks me out.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's
So
not good.
you may be a better cleaner than I am, and this may all be a Kathy Hester issue. So again, if you love yours, Now, my freezer is usually full with stuff that I'm telling you guys to put in the freezer. So having that big thing in the freezer is often uncomfortable for me, even though I have a whole freezer downstairs. So that's why I got the compressor one, because I'm like, okay, I won't have to do that. But then it only gets to like soft serve consistency, and then you have to put it in the freezer. And then it's hard as a rock. So if you did that with something that's really low fat, this is the opposite. You freeze it, it's as hard as a rock, you put it through this thing, it's the perfect consistency. Yeah. Maybe you only eat half of your pint. I heard it beep.
Yeah.
Then you just respin it. It's great. Go ahead.
Oh, that's
Let's
great.
see you.
Yeah.
I'm going to put it back on you, and we can watch you.
Okay.
And you can talk us through the pressure release.
Yeah, so that took about 20 minutes. So maybe, Kathy, you can discuss this. How long does a pressure cooker generally take to come up to pressure? I know it depends on how much food and liquid that you have in the pressure cooker. Does it also depend on where you live, like if you're at sea level versus elevation?
I believe so, and I've never been above sea level, so I always have to use the normal times, but I do believe that. I do notice that in my personal kitchen, the weather changes it too. So if it's in summer versus in the summer, it seems to come up to pressure faster. In the winter, I keep my house cold, like real cold. Okay. Yeah. So I'm of that age that I want it cold. And so it's my happy space, but it's between 65 and 68. And Cheryl wears a lot of clothing. And so I think because I have it so cold, it does take it longer to come all the way up to pressure. And it does, if it's filled very full, it definitely takes more time too.
Yeah. Yes. Okay, that makes sense. So I would say most things they're going to take at least 15 minutes to come up to pressure. I think on average, I'd say 15 to 20 minutes, kind of allow yourself that time.
Yes.
But then with something like this chowder, you're only cooking it for 4 minutes, and then we're going to quick release the pressure. So, it's really easy, and, you don't have to stand over the stove stirring it. So I think it makes a lot of sense to cook it in the Instant Pot, and especially this time of year when you don't want to heat up your kitchen.
Yes, I agree completely. We've got some questions. Let's see what we've got. Apple was saying, going back to the creamy for a hot second, that she doesn't particularly enjoy pineapple, but frozen in the creamy, it tastes good. And she said that's confusing. And she's been adding some sunflower lecithin for increased emulsion. So with some of the stuff that I'm doing, it's more completely whole food plant-based. And I'm not doing a lot of additives, but after this, I'm going to be trying some chia seeds, some lecithin. I've heard of people using guar gum, xanthan gum, the things you see in vegan ice creams. Also help reduce that ice crystal size a little bit.
Right.
And let's see. Blah, blah. I'm trying to skip some. Okay, there's lots of creamy stuff, but then Mona wants to know about the corn. Is it frozen corn or fresh and cooked corn?
That is a great question. So we're using frozen corn that it's just been sitting out here, so it's pretty much defrosted. I took it out right before we started the live and started making the chowder. So, right now it's pretty much defrosted, but it still feels pretty cold. So once we release the pressure, the chowder is going to be super hot. Like it's going to be hotter than if we made it on the stove. So once we throw in this frozen corn, it's just going to cook it almost immediately. So it's going to be heated all the way through. Now you can use fresh corn if you like, but one of the, let's pause because we hear that beeping. So the time is up. So what are we going to do? We're going to quick release it. So here we go. Woo!
It's always exciting. I have a dragon that fits over that steam release vent, and so then the steam comes out of the dragon's mouth. You need that. It's a fun party favor.
Yeah.
I know. I always feel like I need to dance around it too. It's like, woohoo! It's a party. And Mona says, great. She has some corn in the freezer. I'm thinking I haven't decided what we're having for dinner, but I think it might be corn chowder now.
Yeah. So it takes a little while for all the pressure to release because it's, got a lot of pressure in there. But it's starting to slow down.
I know.
And then what's nice about it, I know, it's still going. What's nice too is you can keep it on the warm function so that when you want to come back for your second bowl, which I'm sure you'll want, it will still be nice and warm.
Oh, I love that. And another thing you can do too, I'm liable to do, is after I put this on to start cooking anyhow, to come up to pressure, you can go and do something else. So if you could go read a book and have your, evening libation, or you could take your dog for a walk, because if you don't release the pressure, the potatoes will be a little bit softer. The world won't end. So if you've had a really hard day, you don't have to stay by it. So just know that
That's
too.
true. That's true. But yeah, if you want to go outside for a 15-minute walk, by the time you come back, it will probably just be starting that 4 minutes. So you'll be good to go. All right, so we're just about done.
I know, it always seems so long, but it's not.
I know, it just seems like long when you're thinking about it. But what we're going to do is we're going to add in our corn, and then we're going to add in our cashew cream. So this is just 1 cup of these raw cashews. And I like to buy the pieces rather than the whole if I can, because they're a lot less expensive. So if you have a Trader Joe's by you, I recommend those. And so 1/2 cup of the raw cashews with 1/2 cup water, and we just blended that up. And then we're going to just come here and open the lid.
And that lid would not open if it was not done coming down from pressure. So just
that's true. Good point.
If anybody's new, just realize that was the process. Uh-oh, Amy, you're frozen. So I'm going to switch. Oh, okay, you're unfrozen. Yay.
Okay, so yeah, I thought maybe I froze up for a minute. So I just put in the corn, and now we're just going to mix in the cashew cream. So just scrape that off of the blender a little bit because I love the cream so much. And if you don't want to use cashews, I do have in the recipe some alternative ingredients. You can use like white beans blended, or you can just blend up part of the soup and return it to the pot. So remember though, we do have our bay leaves in here, so we're going to want to remove those. So here's one. I'm going to take out this bay leaf.
And sometimes if I know I'm going to keep the soup for a little while in the fridge, like let's say maybe only I was going to have a serving out of this, I'll leave the bay leaves in to keep making more flavor. But I try to make sure that I scoop the soup out, because Cheryl's always like, what's that? Don't eat it.
Yeah, and I'm going to just add a little bit of salt. But this, of course, is up to you. That's why I like to add it at the end. So, that's way too much. So I'm just going to add a little bit of salt and a little bit of pepper, because pepper goes great with corn and potatoes. So we're just going to add that in. And of course, you can add more at the table when you're eating it. And then I'll show you what this delicious potato corn chowder looks like. So look at that. Isn't that look good? And you know what? It's going to thicken up. If we just leave it sit here on warm for a couple minutes, it's actually going to thicken up even more. And if you have the leftovers in the refrigerator, they're going to get really nice and thick. So yeah, you can just, oh, here's the other bay leaf. You can actually just leave it here. It's because it's going to be really hot. Whenever you make soup in your Instant Pot, it's way hotter than soup on the stove. So just leave it for a couple minutes, set the table, get yourself a drink. And then when you come back to eat it, it's still going to be hot. So, so just be careful. But it's going to be nice and thick. And yeah, I think you're really going to like it.
Oh, it's making me hungry. I haven't had a proper lunch. I had a little bit of blueberry green tea latte smoothie bowl.
Ooh, ooh, that sounds delicious.
It was delicious, but now my belly's like, how about something that I can hang on to? So those potatoes and
Yeah.
corn look amazing. And
Yeah, well, it's not quite lunchtime here, so I know what my lunch is going to be.
that's awesome. One of the things I love
Yeah.
about corn chowder too is so if you, how I got Cheryl to start eating greens is I used to mince it up like kale, collards, mince it till it's almost like parsley and throw a couple of handfuls in like when you do the corn. Or do chiffonade and make the thin ribbons and put in there and it looks
Yeah.
really pretty.
I love that idea. Yeah, you can add so much to this soup. I mean, if you really wanted to like boost up the protein, you could throw in like a can of drained chickpeas. That would be great, or white beans. But yeah, the greens, I love that idea. I know a lot of people like spinach in their soup, but
Mm.
you can use kale. And actually, one of my favorites is Swiss chard.
Oh
So we actually grow rainbow chard in the backyard, and it's like it grows like weeds. So I always have a lot of chard. And so I just chop that up finely, like ribbons, like chiffonade, like you were talking about, and then throw it in at the end. And it's a great flavor, and it's very mild. It's more similar to spinach than kale, but it has a slightly heartier texture than spinach. So it will still like wilt down, but it won't get that slimy texture like spinach does.
Exactly. I agree with you. And plus, rainbow chard is so pretty with like the yellow and the red and all the white stems. It just looks really neat.
Yeah.
Lydia says, thank you, Amy, for the recipe. I can't wait to make it. And Amy,
Oh, I'm so glad.
you can't see it, but right now everybody sees veggiessavetheday.com is where you can get
Yay.
this recipe and a lot more. And Amy, is there
Yeah,
anything else that you want to tell people to kind of come and follow you for or how they can learn more about you?
absolutely. So yeah, you can visit veggiessavetheday.com. And while you're there, I do have a few freebies that you can sign up for if you want to get on my mailing list. So I have one that's a free guide called Instant Flavor, and it's the four-part formula um, to elevate your vegan meals from dull to delicious. And then, if you're interested in a vegan Mediterranean diet, I also have a little mini course that's a short email series that is how to get started on a vegan Mediterranean diet and learn all of the cooking secrets. So you can find both of those when you go to veggiessavetheday.com. And I am also on Facebook and Instagram and Pinterest, all the places at veggiessavetheday.com. And in fact, if you are a Pinterest user, I have been really active over there and sharing a lot of exclusive recipes. So go follow me there. I think they shorten it to it's just Veggie Save, but look me up on Pinterest and give me a follow.
I love that. And you do a lot on Instagram and you do some videos on Instagram. And you're not
Yeah.
yet on YouTube though, correct? You're
No, I'm not yet on YouTube. So,
yet.
maybe someday Kathy will get me over on there.
If I can do it, you can do it. Trust me.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Kathy, it's been so great. Thank you so much for inviting me. I always love your audience. I know that we've participated in some bundles
Mhm.
together, and your audience is always the most caring, thoughtful people, and they're just so welcoming. So it's been such a pleasure to be here with you today.
Oh, well, thank you for coming and hanging out with us and chatting. And yeah, I think my audience is really awesome. So I always say I'm bringing my awesome friends to meet them, but they are also equally awesome. Like, who else has an audience that says, thank you for all you do, right?
Oh, I love that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're kind, generous people, and I really appreciate all of you guys who came out to hang out. If you have some more questions, I love Amy and what she does, so be sure to follow her and hang out. Perhaps we will end up doing something in the future together, I hope, because I always love working with
I
Amy.
hope so.
And we'd love to have you back another time. If you want to come on, just let me know.
Absolutely, it'd be my pleasure.
Awesome. Well, you guys, I haven't said this in a while, so maybe it's time for, because I need to hear it, so that if you have a little bit of time today and a little bit of energy, do something and plan something kind for yourself. That could be taking a walk, that could be sitting down and having a glass of water. It doesn't have to be extreme, right? And then if you have just
Yes.
a little bit more, be nice to someone else. Like, I'm going to have to be nice to Max. Oh, good, he's going on the deck. Instead of coming this way, could you hear him? He's like,
Oh yeah, I was gonna say maybe I can get Ozzy to come on camera really
oh,
quick. Let
sure,
me see
no,
if I
that'd
can
be
get it.
awesome. We
Yeah,
have a
here
new
he is.
cat, Fergus, that tried to come up a little while.
Here he is.
Yay! Hi, Ozzy, you cutie patootie. He's a chonk.
Hi. Yeah,
Our
he's
new
another
cat's
one.
kind of a chonk too. Like, so he found us. He's like an orange tabby, and he must have some Maine Coon in him. He's not that big, but his
Oh
feet
yeah.
are giant.
Oh yeah, Ozzy is unfortunately a little overweight, but he is now on some prescription diet food, so he's
Well,
slowly
and I
been
didn't mean to
losing it.
body shame Ozzy in any way, but they're just,
Oh no, not at
you
all,
see a
not at
chonky,
all.
and it can be chonky from fur too.
Oh,
And you just want to
absolutely.
get
Yeah,
in
no,
there and get that
he's
belly.
he's a big guy, but we love him.
That's awesome. And Julie
Yeah.
says she's putting together her Ninja Creamy Experience ebook. Oh, she must have printed it out. That's awesome. Well,
Yay.
think kitties, soup, and then you get to have a creamy, healthy dessert. What more could we want
Oh,
today? That sounds like self-love to me.
absolutely, absolutely.
Okay, everybody, have an amazing rest of your week, and I'll see you really soon. Bye.
Thanks,